What is up there, SEO pros? Welcome back to part 5 of the National SEO course. Now, before we get into on-page SEO, we're going to cover some of the basics in terms of what you need to check before you start optimizing your website. So a lot of this stuff is going to be greater explained in the actual roadmap template that you got. As you can probably see within your roadmap template, when you bring it open, you will see a section that says watch how to do this right over here. Now, again, for the website basics that we're going to be talking about here today, that I'm going to run through, a lot of this stuff is in here, and all you have to do is just click on this link and watch the tutorial on how to solve these different issues. But either way, I'm going to just quickly go over this stuff and tell you why you need to look at this stuff before you optimize. So first, you need to figure out whether or not your site redirects the preferred version. Now, the reason why this is a problem is because if you have two versions of your website, that means that you could potentially have multiple duplicates of your website being indexed. So for instance, I went to chaserunner.com and the site didn't redirect to the preferred version, I would end up seeing two different versions of chaserunner.com and then every other page as well, because it would be https //chaserunner.com and then https www.chaserunner.com and so on for the rest of this stuff. So the way you fix that, again, you can check in the guide, but really you just go into your hosting and then you can change it over. Generally, if you really can't figure it out, you can just give your hosting a call. And if you're using SiteGround, which is what I recommend for your hosting, you won't have any problems doing that at all. Robots.txt. So what is robots.txt? Robots.txt is a little file that every site should have that Google and other bots will read when they're crawling your site. So if we go to chaserunner.com/robots.txt, we want to be able to make sure that the site is indexed. So if somebody redesigned your website or you're working with somebody and their site got redesigned, you want to make sure you look in here and see that it doesn't say no index, no follow, or disallow crawling for the website. You don't want it to say disallow and then it just be /. WP admin is fine because you don't want your WP admin site or part of your site index. And then if you see other things in there as well, like for instance, certain categories not indexed that probably aren't supposed to be indexed, then that's fine. But again, you want to be able to see that this site is indexed. And the way you can tell if the site's indexed or not is just to go over to Search Console and go to the little robots.txt tester tool. So you would go into your website, go to crawl robots.txt tester, and then you would just press test. And it says right here, allowed by Googlebot. So the other thing is generally you want to have a sitemap in here. And again, if you go into the tutorial, it shows you how to put your sitemap in there. I don't have it in there because I updated my website, but I should put it back in there. It's not a huge deal if it's not in there, but again, it's easy for Google to be able to crawl and see what your sitemap is. Now, what if you don't know what a sitemap is? So let's talk about that. So sitemap is what Google can use to crawl your website. So refer to the sitemap to see, okay, this is all the different stuff on the website. Now, it's good to have this for robots, is like Google, but also for users. So you should have an HTML version of your sitemap as well. So again, to figure out how to do this stuff, all you have to do is go over to the tutorials in that roadmap and you can figure out how to do this stuff. But again, sitemaps are really just for user experience for people if they want to see everything that's on your site, or for robots if they're going to see the XML version for crawling. Once you have a sitemap, you do want to make sure that you submit it under Google Search Console in here. So next we got favicon. So most of you guys know what a favicon is. It's this little icon you're going to see up here. If you don't have one, super easy to fix. You can just get a plugin for it, or if your theme allows you, you can just use your theme to go ahead and add that in there. For AMP or accelerated mobile pages, that's just a way to get your site showing mobile search results at instant load times. Generally, you don't need this unless you see a lot of other people using this in your industry and you can see that it's working well for them. Or if you're like a news site and you want to get instant load times or results out there. So other than that, for the most part, you don't really need AMP. CTA above the fold. This is really just the little call to action. That's what a CTA is. above the fold. You want that on your main pages because if you have traffic, lots of traffic going to big pages, you want to make sure you have a CTA above the fold so people can see what the direction is of that page. It's also really important to not have a page with a bunch of stuff on it. You want it to be really clear and concise on what people are supposed to do when they hit your site. In order to figure out what people actually want, again, you want to figure out why people are hitting your site, what you're optimizing for, and figure out how to give them the best experience possible for what they're looking for. And a lot of it comes down to A/B testing and stuff we're going to do around data benchmarking a little bit later. Mobile friendly, most of you guys know what this is. You can really just go and grab the corners of your screen and resize it. And if this doesn't respond to the resizing, then you know it's not responsive and probably not mobile friendly, so you need to go and fix that ASAP. Expected pages, I'm not sure why that's in there. I don't really know what that must have got in there for my mistake. I don't know what that is. Let's go to the next one. SSL. So for SSL, that's just this little secure certificate. This is a ranking factor. I know a lot of people ask me about that. Really all it is it's just telling your visitors that the site is secure and that all of their data is being encrypted with the pages they're visiting. If it's not secure, then it's easier for hackers to sort of do a man-in-the-middle attack and see what's being transmitted from their device to your website. Google Analytics. So Google Analytics and Google Search Console, for these two things, there is a setup as well for the tutorial and the roadmap. In order to set these things up, though, it's super easy. You're really just going into Google Search Console, logging in, and then adding a property up here, in here, by going to add property, and then just making sure that you have the correct version of your website showing. So if you have, for instance, an HTTPS / without the www, you want to make sure you put that in there, and that's the preferred version. Now, if you have multiple versions of your website that you want to put in there, I know some people put all 4 versions. They put the HTTPS, non-HTTPS, and then the www for both of those. But honestly, I just put the HTTPS and the 2 versions of the HTTPS. And this is only in here because it was here from before, but I think 2 versions is probably fine. The reason why people say you should do that is so that Google can kind of pick up on all of these just in case, but I think it's pretty unnecessary. And then for Google Analytics, just sign into Google Analytics, and then you're going to get a code once you add your account, and then you're just going to drag it into your header of your website, which is pretty easy to do. So I'm assuming you guys probably know most of this stuff. And again, if you don't know this stuff, I would check back either in the tutorial for the roadmap or go to the beginner to advanced SEO tutorial so that you can learn a little bit more about how this stuff works. But that's it. I mean, that's a really short video for today. This was only 8 minutes long, but again, it's really important that you make sure a lot of this stuff is happening before you start going into your on page, because if you have 2 versions of the website or some crazy stuff's happening, like your robots.txt is no indexing your entire site, you want to check all that stuff before you start going into on-page SEO. So again, this isn't meant to be a huge tutorial right now on how to do all the different basics in great detail, because I'm assuming that you guys kind of understand what I'm saying here for the most part. But it is to kind of remind you guys that, hey, look, you do want to check this stuff before you start doing on-page SEO or start fixing your site architecture or any of the stuff you're going to want to do around benchmarking or keyword mapping, whatever it is. So cool. If you haven't already, go check the stuff we talked about today. The notes will be in the video. And that's it again for today. Tomorrow, we will be talking about on-page SEO. We'll be talking about internal linking, external linking, contextual linking, anchor tags, title tags, meta descriptions, title placements, click-through rates, heading tags, image file names, alt tags, and page speed optimization. So I hope you guys are ready for that. And until I see y'all next time, happy SEOing.